you lose that, you drop off a lot of that, sort of competitiveness, and you are satisfied with the fact that your service has led to someone else's success.
Hello, so welcome back on the Jay Thakkar Show. It's been an honor to host you last time in the first season of Jay Thakkar Show, and it's still an honor to host you again on the second season of Jay Thakkar Show.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to talking with you the second time as well. It was a lot of fun the first time.
Thank you so much, sir. So, sir, recently I posted an Instagram reel on the topic of death, where I shared my perspective on death. It said is that what makes us fear the concept of death? Is it like because we won't be experiencing anything? We won't be there after death, and when we are there, we won't be experiencing death, or at least we can say that there won't be death at that particular moment. So what makes us fearful for death? And my perspective on that was that what we don't fear exactly the death, but we fear what death brings to us, that is limitation of time. And every breath, every second, every day, every year, we are getting closer and closer to death. We were the farthest from our deaths the time when we were born on this earth, and after that, every second, every day, we are just getting closer and closer to the death. And also the concept which where it says that we are not aware when the death will come. We don't know if the next hour my death is waiting, or there are many couple of years for me to live on this planet. And I think that what brings that fear of death in us, besides the biological instinct we have of survival and reproduction, and getting the clan going. So what's your take on that, sir?
I think people fear death for two reasons. One, it's unknown, and we don't like things that are unknown. We'd like to be able to predict the future and how things are going to play out. So not having a grasp on how death is going to come or what it's going to be like afterwards scares people, and so they don't like that. And the other reason I think that people are afraid of death is because they don't really live their lives. I mean, people live a casual life, and as a result of that, their goals, their dreams, their aspirations become a casualty of that unplanned living. And I unfortunately have seen a lot of people die, both over the 10 years that I've been battling cancer and the time that I was a police officer. And I'm going to make a huge generalization here, but it seems to me that the people who died what you and I would probably call happy or peaceful deaths seem to be the people that did something in their lives. They took chances, they took risks, they made something happen with their lives. They were not common and ordinary. Common and ordinary people do nothing with their lives. And the people who are common and ordinary seem to be, again, huge generalization, seem to be the people that go kicking and screaming from this life. They want another month or another year to do the things that they want to do. I believe it was Seneca or Socrates or somebody like that said that life is long enough as long as it's well lived. So I don't think you need to worry about death or fear death if you live the life that you were born to live. And when death comes, you should just be, you know what, this is just another part of the extension of my life.
True, sir. And majorly when you generalize the ordinary life, it shows the how procrastination has deepened in our day-to-day life, where we are too much satisfied with what we are having, and more than satisfied, we are just looking for the pleasures the satisfaction or the current lifestyle gives to us. For example, we as a generation has like my generation is born in much more comfortable place or comfortable time rather than your generation, and even your ancestors were at more uncomfortable times and spaces. And like we have this quote which says that bad times make great leaders make good time, and then good time makes bad people. So do you think we are in that good time bad people kind of phases?
I don't know if we are. I mean, I see a lot of people that are hungry, that have some
Mm-hmm.
grit in their lives, that realize that they can forego a pleasure with the understanding that if they do that, if they forego that pleasure, somewhere down the road they're going to experience something that's better for them and things like that. I've seen that. Now, granted, there are a lot of people that I guess let me explain it this way. There's a person here in the United States by the name of Ed Milet, and he's an entrepreneur and a podcast host, and he's an author, and he talks about the four types of people in the world. He said the first type are the unmotivated people, and that's the vast majority of people.
Yeah.
And he said then you have people or leaders that are motivators. And motivation is kind of, sort of lowbrow, low level. It's sort of the carrot and the stick. If you do this, then you will get that. And then the next type of people are inspirational people or inspirational leaders. And inspire comes from in spirit. So they get you to do things based on inspiration, on how they portray themselves or something else. And then the final part is aspirational leaders. And aspirational leaders live their lives and people want to be like them. They're not trying to motivate you. They're not trying to inspire you. Just by them living their lives, people want to aspire to be like them. And I always ask people, which category do you fall in? Are you the common and ordinary people that, the vast majority of us are? Are you a person who motivates other people? Are you a person who inspires other people? Or are you a person whose life, the way you live your life, makes other people aspire to be like you? And I think that's a great way to kind of look at it and figure out where do we fall sort of on that continuum, and do we want to get better? And it's okay if you don't. I mean, I'm not saying you have to be aspirational, but is that something you want to do? And how, if you do, how are you going to get there?
True. And also, sir, I feel that the ordinary people which we have generalized, the people who come in that category, I feel that they are much more less conscious about their lifestyle, their choices, their thoughts majorly. Because I've seen, like, I'm going through a lot of philosophical text right now, and from there I get a sense of realization, or maybe a sense of perspective, that is the better word to put it, which says that we take choices on we take choices very instantly, and that instant choices majorly come from the desire we have. Let those desire be sensory desires, to see something good, to hear something good, to speak something good, to touch or feel something good, or let it be the desires which have evolved with society, the desire of having more money, having more status, having more people praising you, getting to a level where people respect you, see upon you. And majorly your decisions are on that desire, that how can I fulfill this desire, how can I fulfill that desire. And majorly these decisions are taken in span of seconds, which comes through the desire which we have in these things.
Yeah, I think, we're kind of told what we should have. We're kind of, society kind of puts out there, you should be influential, you should be powerful, you should be rich, you should be famous. And I think that is such an empty vessel that, if you look at it, when we started out talking about death, when you die, you can't take your power or your influence or your money or your prestige with you after the grave, post grave. And what I think people should spend more time on, which would make their lives more enriched, is to serve. I think we're all born in some way or another to serve. To serve ourselves, to serve our fellow man, to serve our God, whatever you believe that is. And if you serve, then you lead a life of service. That's just, that's kind of the way it is. And things like, generosity, love, goodness, and things like that, those are intangible things. You can't touch them, you can't feel them, but they're things that they're in our hearts, they're in our souls, and those things people don't spend a lot of time on. I'll give you an example. I had a nurse recently ask me. I've been going through cancer. We covered this on the last podcast, and I had my foot amputated in 2018 and my leg amputated in 2020. And I had a nurse recently ask me, what was that like? And I told her it has not been easy. It's been kind of difficult to learn to walk again in that. But what I told her was, cancer can take all my physical faculties, but cancer can't touch my mind, it can't touch my heart, and it can't touch my soul. And that's who I am, Jay. That's who you are. That's who your audience is. Your heart, your mind, and your soul. Yet we spend so much time working on, our bodies and, our wealth and our prestige, and not nearly as much time working on who we really are, which is our heart, our mind, and our soul.
True, 100%, sir. And like, sir, when I was going through these philosophical texts, and like I went through the Greek philosophical texts, like when you talked about Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, and also I went through the Indian philosophical texts, the Hindu philosophical texts, and in both texts I found a similarity which you stated, that is the sense of service. Is because when I compile both philosophy and what just can I take out of it on my limitation of perception, is that like when we talk about pain, the majority of pain comes from expectation and attachment. Like obviously bodily pain is there because we have this neural network and we sense that pain, but when we talk about emotional pain, the mental pain, basically focusing on the mental health aspect, and the pain which we face there is majorly because of attachment. We are too much attached with, let's say, money, the status we have, the influence we have, the people around us, we have the praises we get, the good ears and good vision we get. We get too much attached with that whenever we see them going away from our from us, from our faculties, we feel pain, we feel painful. And when we think that there's a sense of service in us, it tends us to detach from those aspects. And then when we see, like there was one example given in stoicism, which stated that let's say that there's a father kissing his child. Now when you have attachment, you can understand that, oh, this is father child love, blood relation, family, that sort of emotional engagement we have. Now when we see in a different perspective, like a father is kissing a child is not because of attachment. The father is kissing a child because the child is also another human. So me as an entity, as a father, I'm just kissing another human out of the feeling of service, of serving my love towards the other human. And that changes the whole perspective of how we see a father-child relationship, even our personal relationship with every one of them. And that's like that was a huge blow in my perspective when we think of getting into the service mode of lifestyle.
Yeah, you're right, and I mean, you've seen it in the Aristotle, the Plato. You've seen it in the philosophers in India. You see it in the Chinese philosophy. You see it in Christian philosophy. You see it in Buddhism. You see it's everywhere. I mean, it's not just one group of people that are saying it. It encompasses all forms of religions. It encompasses all forms of philosophy. And when you look at that, you think, well, maybe there must be something to that, because it's not just one religion or one culture that says, hey, service is important. It is everybody that talks about that. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I look at it, you're right. Pain in our lives is inevitable, but what the pain brings is suffering. So if you don't feel you're living up to, I don't have enough money, or I don't drive the nicest car, or I don't live in the best house, now you're suffering. And that's self-imposed suffering, because you've decided that for some reason I have to have X amount of money. I mean, as long as your basic needs are met, do you really need to have all that money? I mean, what does that do for you other than stroke your ego and say, you know what, look at me, I've got all this money. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I'm happy for you, and I'm happy for people that have money. And there's nothing wrong with money and success and influence. There's nothing wrong with that unless you don't use that to help other individuals.
True, 100%. And I've also seen, I've talked with some of the people who like tend to hate money, or let's say tend to hate people who have more access to money. And the questions and interactions I had with them, after that I realized that what money brings to them is the same thing which you said, the suffering, the desire and the attachment that I want this pleasure from this much amount of money which I can see in my bank balance. And other than that, when I see the people who already have access to money, they see money very differently. They see money as an enabler, the money which enables them to get their interest or get access to something in which they actually find happiness in. For example, if I have good money, I can fly to US and talk to you in person. This access money can give me, not the access that, oh, I do not have money, so I cannot have a podcast.
Yeah, you're right. And yes, there's, like I said, there's nothing wrong with money. There's nothing wrong with riches. There's nothing wrong with, influence and things like that. But when you tend to hoard it, when you tend to say, I have this, and so what does that mean? Does that make me more special than you? Does that make me more important than you? Does that give me certain things than you? Maybe it gives me more things or allows me to have more things, but it doesn't necessarily make you a better person. I always I like to talk about character. What kind of person are you? What kind of individual are you in your soul, in your heart, in your mind? And that's what we should spend time working on. That's what we should spend time developing. Again, outside of money, power, and influence, you can have those things and still be a person of good character, but you can also have those things and be kind of a jerk, be somebody who, is affected by the fact that you have a lot of stuff. But I think the people that, as I'm much older than you are, I've seen a lot of people, as I mentioned, die. Those people, I think, realize kind of in the end that it's not about the things we have, it's about the things that we give, things that we give, and most of that is giving of ourselves to other people to make their lives better. And if we do that, at the end of your life, death is not nearly as scary.
True, 100%. And I think that's what the legacy means. Like whenever we see super successful people who have left this earth ages ago, and still we remember them. We remember them not on because of that they were billionaires. We remember them on what they have given to the society. Let it be just an idea. Let it be just a school of thought. Let it be just let it be the actual service in serving thousands of people, millions of people. but what we actually remember them for is because of them. This life, this school of thought, this invention, or this lifestyle we've got. And I feel that every human has the tendency of thanking to what the other person is giving them or serving them, but it hides under the extreme lust for the desire which we have. I feel is because when every time we are being said that this is where you need to go, this is where you'll get validation, this is where you will we will think that you have satisfied us. This is where the foundation which majorly society creates for us.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And one of my four truths is a legacy truth, and it's what you leave behind is what you weave in the hearts of other people. It doesn't say anything about what you leave behind is how much money you give other people or how important you were to other people or anything like that. It's what you weave. It's what you give of yourself and put into the hearts of other people. That's how we're remembered. That's how, people think about us. I mean, when we die, nobody sits there and says, gee, Terry had, $1 billion, or Terry drove this really nice car, or Terry drove in this kind of house. What people do is they tell stories, at your funeral and things like that. And, what was Jay like? Oh, let me tell you about something that Jay did and how he helped me. Or let me tell you about something Terry did and how he helped. Those are the stories that people tell at your funeral. And if those stories are stories about your love, your compassion, your goodness, then to me, that's a life well lived. If people are talking about how much money you had and stuff like that, that's kind of, to me, sort of a shallow type of life.
True, 100%. And coming to the part of pain, like you've said that you've suffered a lot with this journey of battling cancer, and like how did you tackle the pain? Because your pain was not just limited to mental pain. You gone through a hardship of physical pain, and like how did you manage to handle the both sort of pains?
Yeah, physical pain can be managed usually by medication. I'm not a big proponent of, taking all these drugs and stuff like that for pain. I can deal with a little bit of physical pain in my life. It's the mental and the emotional pain that, you have to deal with. And I think that comes from sort of an inward looking philosophy where, hey, it's all about me. Look at me. I'm sad, and you should feel sorry for me, and I'm in pain, and you should take care of me. And you can't tell this from looking at me, but I'm 6'8" tall, and I played basketball, which is a team sport, from the time I was like 9 years old all the way up until I graduated from college. And I think one of the things that team sports, whether it's basketball, whether it's soccer, whether it's rugby, whatever it is, I think one of the things that team sports teaches us, and I guess let me even make that even broader. It doesn't necessarily have to be a sport. It could be you're a member of a band, or you're in a play, or you're in a business, or whatever that ends up being. But whatever team that you're part of, is that you learn very early on as a member of a team about the importance of being part of something that's bigger than yourself. Because you realize that on any team, that if you don't do your job, not only do you let yourself down, but you let your teammates down, your coaches down, your fans down, your shareholders down, whatever that ends up being. And if you think about it, the biggest team game that we all play is this game of life. So I think it's important, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm a human being. I get down, I feel depressed, I cry, I have all those emotions that a human being does. But when I get into those places, I find that I'm looking inward, that it's all about me. And I find a real simple way to get out of that is to focus my attention outward. Who can I help? Who can I make a difference in their lives? Who can I pick up the phone and call and say, hey, how's it going? Or who can I go have a cup of coffee with to make their life a little bit better. Now all of a sudden I'm focusing on making another human being's life better. I'm not thinking about how bad my pain is right now.
Wow, that's interesting. And I think this idea, whenever, like, almost all religions have this idea that whatever God you believe in, let it be monotheistic religion or the Indian philosophy where we have multiple gods. In every religion or in every school of thought or philosophy, it is said that the ultimate power, the God, resides in every one of us. Now when we, and the next step which it says that you need to focus, or you need to go down in the lane of servicing the God, in whichever God you believe in. And now when you combine these two, that God is inside us, and now when I lie down in the path of servicing my own self, I forget my own attachments to outward worlds, and also I forget the attachment I have towards myself, the expectation I have for myself. Like when you say, we in a team sport, we do not only let ourselves down, we let the whole team down. There we understand the importance of responsibility. And now when we say that I let myself down, it means we also have some sort of expectation from ourselves that I need to perform to a certain extent. And now when we say that I just need to service the God which resides inside my heart, now that performance is not, it is me or my team. Now that performance is this team, this result, and my service. Now the attachment of me from giving this output or winning my team goes down to winning this team, doing this, and doing this is nothing but my service. And when we think of I'm serving this, the capability of we putting ourselves above the potential which we have currently, it is much more, the probability of you performing better is much more greater when we think of I'm serving something.
I think you're absolutely right. And if you think about what we were talking about earlier, if you take what you just said about God being inside of us, well, if you marry that, if you bring that together with what should we work on, our heart, our mind, and our soul. I mean, that's God. That's the God inside of us, with whatever God you believe. So why not spend more time working on your heart, your mind, and your soul, and not as much time on developing wealth or going to the gym and getting all buff and stuff. And again, there's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with money or working out or doing it. There's nothing wrong with any of that in itself. Good, absolutely have that, but also spend some time focusing on who you really are, the God inside you, your heart, your mind, and your soul.
True, and when we focus in that, like even if I have $1 billion in my bank account, initially if I think that, okay, this is my money, I will invest it, and now when I think that I'm serving the God which resides within me, the thing shifts to, like, now I have this $1 billion. Now this is the potential I have to serve in terms of wealth. This is the potential I have to serve in terms of my physical extension.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you have something that can help other people. What are you interested in? Are you interested in helping animals? Are you interested in education? Are you interested in helping the sick? Are you interested in helping the poor? Are you interested in helping feeding people, making people have clean water? There's a million different agencies and strategies out there that you can invest in. And I always tell people, it's what do you want to do? I did a podcast yesterday with a woman who donates, makes a donation to a charity, one of 4 charities that she likes, and pick one of them. Is it a charity for animals? Is it a charity, to help people in undeveloped countries? Is it a charity to help people that are sick? And you choose what you want to go to. And I thought that was kind of neat. That was just something, that she makes a donation in your name to the charity that you choose. And I thought, well, that's something nice that
Yes.
I can say, hey, I'd like it to go to this because that means something to me. Not that there's anything wrong with the other charities, but you have to decide what's in your heart. What are your interests?
Mm.
What are things that excite you and get you going? Some people, it's like I want to improve education. For other people, it's I want to make sure the whole world has clean water. I want to make sure everybody has enough food. Whatever it is in your heart that I think your God is moving you to help, that's the path that you should go down.
True, 100%. I feel that whatever, like when you say that every human has their personal choices of doing something. When we say that, let's say that that's a God calling inside from us to do these things. Now, apart from that, I have observed, and I feel that upbringing plays a lot of important role in molding a person's mind into liking a particular thing. And now let's say the difference, like there's a family who wants their child to be an engineer, to work in a particular field of engineering, whereas there's a family who wants the child to be an entrepreneur. Now, after, let's say, 18 to 20 years of their upbringing, now the children are in the world, and now they have given everything, and now they have to decide that what I personally like. And the probability of they liking what actually their upbringing have been about, it is more likely that the person who was in the engineering field will majorly go into fields related to engineering, and the person who was in entrepreneurial field is most probable to go into the fields which are related to entrepreneurship. And like, what's your thought and in your experience and observation?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I experienced what you just talked about when I was growing up. My grandfather had been a policeman, a police officer, and I wanted to follow in his footsteps. But my
Mm.
grandfather was actually shot in the line of duty with his own gun. It was not a serious injury. He was shot in the ankle. But my dad always remembered the stories that my grandmother told. My father was absolutely not. You're going to go to college, you're going to major in business, you're going to get out, get a great job, get married, have 2.4 kids, and live happily ever after. But that's the life my father wanted me to live. It
Mm.
wasn't the life that I believed in my heart that I was put on this earth to do. So I know there are a lot of people out there, probably a lot of people listening to us that are in that same boat where their family wants them to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or whatever it is, but their interests lie other places.
Mm.
And I think that's I have a daughter who is an adult now and stuff like that, and I never wanted to force her to do something that I wanted to do. I always wanted her to follow her own heart, her own desire, her own ambition, her own loves. And I think we did that. I think my wife and I, did that. And now it's up to her to live the life that she wants to. And
Mm.
as parents, we just have to love them. We just have to support them. We just have to care about them, and they've got to make their own mistakes. They've got to make their own decisions, and some of them are going to be good, some of them are going to be bad. But we did the same thing. I
Mm.
made bad decisions when I was younger. I made good decisions. That's what life is about. It's about learning from the bad and the good and trying to improve things. So yes, I thoroughly believe there are a lot of people out there that are sort of getting the, hey, mom and dad want me to do this. And when I graduated from college, like I said, I had a choice. I had to decide whether, sorry, dad, I'm going to go do my own thing. My
Mm.
dad was dying of cancer when I graduated from college. So out of love and respect for him, I went into business. I did what he wanted me to do. And then I sort of joke, I did what every good son did. I waited till my father passed away, and then I followed my own dreams.
Mm. And I also feel like the environment at that moment also plays an important role. Like you said that you did business out of your respect and love towards your father because he was fighting and battling with cancer. And similarly, when we see a lot of people, they tend to do it out of love or respect they have for their family. And not always they have the situation where their loved ones are near to death or approaching death or battling with some harsh diseases. And in that position, I feel that, like, I'm talking in general sense of society, and currently the society is like they give you a track to run on, but what they also do is they put fences along the track so that you don't go out of track, you don't go out of the track of not being wealthy, you don't go out of the track of not being influential, not being powerful person. But instead, what I personally feel is like society does this out of concern that they don't want us to face the harsh life which they have seen or their ancestors have seen us. They do their out of love which they have for us, and we as the younger generation understand that. But that doesn't mean that we put fences around the track which we've been guided by the society. If we as younger generation are allowed to run on that track, but if after removing those fences, if we are allowed to sit and see how beautiful the flower is flourishing just beside the track, and if we want to go and see what that flower does and approach the path which the flower takes to us, and if we have that liberty, then I think there's a lot more thing which we see that, okay, 20-30 years of working on particular field will bring us to another level of, let's say, technology. And now when we allow that liberty, let's say your 18-year-old adult is allowed that you can change your field, like you've done your high school and you've been thinking that you're interested in a particular field, and after 18 you think that, no, I have to change my field and I want to go in another direction and want to explore that. If we allow the spectrum of exploration, I think that not only allows the person to gain more skill set, that also allows the person to gain more perspective in life overall.
I would agree with you. I absolutely would agree with you. We can't live somebody else's life. I mean, despite how much pressure people put on us, you should do that. You should be an engineer. You should be a doctor. You should be a computer program, whatever it is. That's what you should do. Well, if that's not what's in my heart, if that's not what's in my soul, then it's not something I'm going to be fulfilled doing. I may have the knowledge, I may have the brain power, I may have the skills to be successful at it, but at the end of the day, am I going to be fulfilled doing that job? Because I'm doing a job based on what other people want me to do and not what I want to do. Now, there are a lot of people that I think say, I really don't know what I want to do with my life, so I'm just going to go try this. Oh, well, I like that, so I'll continue to do it. Or as you say, I gained some skills from that, but it's really not what I want to do. I want to change focus and go over here and do something. And I think as long as you continue to learn and to grow, Nelson Mandela, the former president of South Africa, had a great quote. He said, I never lose. I either win or I learn. So if you, like I said, you do something that's not for you, but you learn something from it, then that was a positive experience, even though it wasn't for you. And I know that's the way it was for me. I had 2 jobs before I became a police officer, and those 2 jobs gave me some life experience that made me a better police officer.
True. And like I just uploaded this content on the same thing about failure, and I said that failure is not an obstacle, it is an opportunity for us to learn. Like, for example, if you won't have done business, now the technicalities of business might not actually help you in your after journey, but the experience you had in terms of meeting the people who are actually interested in business, who actually have that business mindset, and that connection, that bonding with a human to understand what a person interested in business is thinking, And I think that communication might have helped you along in your career as a policeman, and even while fighting the cancer, and understanding your finances, and understanding how you want to take your career further in life. And I think when these kind of things happen, these are not failures or obstacles. These are the opportunities for us to explore our own selves. That if I have chosen the wrong field in my life for initial 10 years, then what have I learned from it? Learn from it not only in terms of that, okay, this is not what I want to do. There are multiple layers of learning. One is self learning, that okay, this is not what I want to do. But other than that, what I've learned in terms of experiencing, understanding people, communicating, the way of communication, how do people of different ideology think, how do they work. Like if I want to learn time management, it is not that I have to choose the field which I am interested in to learn time management. I can learn time management even when I've chosen the wrong field, by learning that how people are managing their time when they are interested in something, so that I can utilize when I'm going somewhere in my interest.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, let's face it, nobody starts out to fail.
Yeah.
Nobody goes into whatever it is, expecting or wanting to fail. At least I don't think they do. But, people are so afraid of failure. They want to be successful, but they don't want to fail. And I've found in my life and in watching other people's life that the road to success is paved with failure. Anybody who's ever been successful in life has failed, and failed many times. So, like you were saying, it's okay to fail as long as you learn something from that failure that allows you to keep moving forward, that allows you to keep moving toward what you define as success. And so I don't think people get all excited. Oh, I failed. What are people going to think about me? I'm stupid. We get all this negative talk in our minds when we fail, instead of being, like you said, what did I learn? What did I learn from that? Oh, I learned this. Oh, okay. Now I can apply that to the next thing that I do in my life. You're only a loser when you don't learn something from a failure. Then you're kind of a loser. But if you learn something from it, you're absolutely on the right path towards success.
True, and like I've heard, I don't know if this quote has been made or not, but it's like the biggest mistake is to fear is the fear of doing mistake.
That's a good quote. Yeah.
And I feel that because when we take success, like for example, let's take the example of the child who was taught, or who was brought to be an engineer from the family, and now the child is out in the world. The child is capable enough to make his own decisions, or go with the decision, or the engineering field which their family wants. And let's say after some time the child understands that engineering is not my field, and now instead of self reflecting that okay, if this is not my field, then what interests me other than that, the person majorly goes in the state at, oh, I have attached myself to the success I've seen as world's best engineer, but now I do not like engineering, then I cannot reach towards that goal. We get too much attached towards the goal. We, like you said, we do not start anything to fail. We always have a goal in our mind which we want to achieve. But if path changes, if goal changes, then why don't we get detached from the goal which we had previously? We get too much attached from that goal that we never think of looking in a different direction and see that, oh, there's the brighter side which I am attracted to, and I want to see that what that bright light brings to me.
Yeah, I mean, things that we want to do to us are exciting. That you want to get up in the morning and you want to go do them. Things that we're doing now may be comfortable, but we never grow in comfort. We only grow when we step outside our comfort zones. One of the jobs I used to have was I was a high school basketball coach, and I used to remind my players that they needed to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. because the only way you grow is in the uncomfortable thing. If it's easy, if you get up and you can go and do your job and it doesn't take any thought, it doesn't take any effort, it doesn't take, anything on your part, then you're comfortable. And we like comfort. I mean, the brain loves comfort. The status quo, the way things are right now, the brain loves that, loves it, doesn't want you to mess with it. But again, the only way you're going to grow, the only way you're going to get better, the only way you're going to improve is to step outside those comfort zones. And the minute you do, your brain is going to start attacking you because your brain knows your vulnerabilities, it knows your weaknesses, and it will use those against you anytime you want to step outside your comfort zones. So you have to be even more, reticent. You have to be even more determined that this is something you want to do. I mean, think about it, Jay. If you got up this morning and said, I'm going to go skydiving, your brain would be like, oh, whoa, no, you're not, Jay. The parachute may not open, or the plane may crash, and it would give you a million different reasons why you shouldn't do that. But if you really want to do it, you can overcome that negativity and go ahead and do it. That same thing works with, I like the job that I have now, but I'm not passionate about it. It's comfortable, but I really want to do this over here. That's exciting. That's fun. Your brain is going to be like, nope, you should just stay right where you are because it's comfortable. Comfortable does not lead to success.
True, 100%. And I also feel when we are too much comfortable, in the sense that we are getting too much comfortable, is when we start getting bored of doing the same thing. Because comfort also brings repetition in the life. Where, okay, I have a good bank balance, I get a few $1,000s every month in my bank account, I have a good home, I have good family, everything is going right. And if you repeat it over and over again, you will start feeling that it is not interesting anymore, it is not fun anymore. You start feeling bored, and when you start feeling bored of doing same thing again and again, it means you are getting too much comfortable with it. You are not growing, you are just sitting there and thinking that there's an elevator which I'm stepping into, and that elevator will climb me to the mountain which I think is my goal.
Yeah, but but the other side of that, and I understand why people stay in comfort, because as life happens, as you get married, as you have children, as you need to provide for your elderly parents and things like that, that job that you're in may not be exciting. It may not be something that thrills you, that you can't wait to get up in the morning and do, but you have a responsibility to your family, to your parents and things like that. So you stay in that job. And like I said, I totally understand why people do that, because they stay there because they're making the money that they need, that they can take care of their family. And it's awful hard to get everything to line up, especially the older you get, where you can say, okay, I can leave my job. My family's got enough money to live on, to pay the rent, to eat, to pay the insurance and all that stuff, and then I can go over here and do what I think is exciting. The older you get, the harder, the more difficult that is, because you have other responsibilities in your life.
True. And I think when we talked about what team work teaches us, is that teamwork also teaches us that as soon as the game moves on, as the game moves on, the responsibility gets more complex. The responsibility gets like the value of every step you do becomes more and more valuable. And if you want a sense of comfort, that a comfortable position at the end of the game, or by the end of the game, or in the later half of the game, you need to push harder in the initial part of the game. And when we understand that as a team framework, we can also put it in real life, where the family or the people who are under a responsibility, if we think them as team and ourselves as the leader or the main responsible person of that team, we can play our life games and the economic games in the same way.
Yeah, I mean, think about, I always ask people to think about what I call their inner circle, the people that are closest to them, whether it's their family or their friends. are those people who are closest to you, do they care about you? Do they love you? Do they support you? Do they make you smarter, better, more intelligent? If they don't, then you should try to get those people out of your life and put better people in your life that care about you, that love you, support you. And I always say, that are willing to tell you the truth, even if it sacrifices the relationship they have with you. So if you and I are good friends and you say to me, hey, Terry, I really think you're messing up here. This isn't a good thing to do. My natural instinct is to say, get away from me, Jay. You're not my friend, but you are my friend because you love me enough. You care about me enough to risk our relationship in order to tell me the truth. Those are the kind of people you want in your life. Now, I know with family, it's awful hard to say, I don't want you around, but I guess you can limit the amount of time you spend with them and spend more time with people that care about you, that uplift you, that support you, that love you, that want what's best for you. If you have those people in your life, whether it's on a team, whether it's in your job, whether it's just your friends, you'll have a much better chance of being successful in life.
True, 100%. And like summing up the conversation in the perspective of the service, which was the sole foundation of our conversation, is that whenever we talk about success, we majorly perceive it as my success, my money, my power, my influence, the work which I am interested in. Now let us just change the perspective and conclude this conversation as in that this is the amount of impact I want to put in people's life, which I call it as my service. And whatever success I gain, that success is nothing but my service to the people whom I am responsible for. Let it be my family, where I'm doing my job, the company for which I'm working in. My companies are providing a solution to another person. So I am playing a role in servicing my skill, my hard work, my sweat and money to learn that skill and use it so that the other person to whom my company is servicing can serve and make their lives better. And if we are an entrepreneur, we as an entrepreneur are serving to our customers. And if we sum up in the sense of service, like if you can add on more points in that perspective.
Yeah, I think as we get older, I think as we mature, I think as we have more emotional intelligence, we come to realize that all the things that we've been talking about, money, power, influence, those things are not nearly as important as serving other people. And, when you're young, your life is focused on you. I want to be successful. I want people to look at me. As you grow older, as you mature, as you become emotionally intelligent, you find satisfaction in the success of other people. You find satisfaction in how you were able to help other people realize their goals, their dreams, their ambitions. And so it doesn't have to be about you. It can be, wow, look, I helped that person. Look how great they're doing. It doesn't mean that they're better than me or I'm better than them. Or you lose that. You drop off a lot of that, sort of competitiveness, and you are satisfied with the fact that your service has led to someone else's success.
True, very true, sir. And like this cup says, think, thank, and smile. Like this was given to me as my birthday gift from one of my close friends.
That's great. That's a great cup.
So, sir, thank you so much for coming on this podcast and serving us with your wisdom, knowledge, and experience, and giving us a different perspective on how important is the idea of serving in one's life. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast and having this conversation.
Well, Jay, thanks for having me on. I always say that it's nice people like you that allow me to come on and have a discussion with them. And if our discussion makes a positive difference in somebody's life, then today has been a good day.
Thank you so much. I'm sure that many of our listeners will definitely uh, get get some influence from your idea of search.
Great. That would be super.
Thank you so much.